Exandria Unlimited Kymal is a 2-part sequel to Critical Role's 2021 8-part mini-campaign, Exandria Unlimited. This EXU Part 2 continues the story of the non-campaign 3 Crown Keepers, Dariax, played by Matt Mercer, Opal, played by Aimee Carrero, Fy'ra Rai, played by Anjali Bhimani. The Crown Keepers are reunited with their friend, Dorian Storm, played by Robbie Daymond, who is now with his brother Cyrus Wyvern Wind, who has a hefty bounty on his head. Exandria Unlimited Kymal is a heist story about getting lots of money for Cyrus's bounty. Abria Iyengar is back to GM, and since we lost Fern and Orm to Campaign 3, this time we get a new face. Bartender and casino thief Morrighan Ferus, a Lagamore rogue played by Lindbeck. Morrighan, or Moore, has been sent over from the Feywild as a child and has lived in Kymal, which is a city in Tal'Dorei that is known for its casinos. Part 1 consists of the party meeting Morrighan, who overhears the group recklessly talking about ways to get large sums of money for Dorian and Cyrus by possibly doing a heist. Moore very carelessly informs the group that she runs cons on casinos, working there for a while as a bartender, until she finds the right time to steal from their vault because they're greedy and exploitive, especially when there's kids on the street, man. A familiar beat that was introduced by Abria in the original Exandria Unlimited. Rich, powerful people are bad, remember that. They work together to get up to a penthouse, and after a battle manage to find and steal the casino's blueprints. In Part 2, the group makes their way to a spa to study the blueprints. Opal talks with Loth and reveals Ted 2, her spider familiar. They eventually make their way into the tunnels, entering combat with a nameless one, Lieutenant, and ultimately find 50,000 gold and give 40,000 of that to Dorian. Luckily, Dariax managed to think ahead and grab 2 bags of holdings to fill all that heavy gold and platinum with. Back upstairs, there's a ton of fighting going on in the casino. Opal does some wild plan where she uses Major Image to make it look as if the entire deck collapsed and that she is actually Pasca who is falling to her death. And for some reason, Abria changes this over to make it also look as if the whole group died under Pasca. They pretty much ride off into the sunset after this, and so wraps up Exandria Unlimited Kymal. Now, I'm on the record in my review of Exandria Unlimited that I didn't like it, so much so that I thought overall it was a bad experience despite a couple of okay episodes. What we were promised via hype, both with the experience and the story of EXU, as well as Abria Iyengar being this master DM/GM, all fell completely short for me. You can watch that review if you want, and I'll link it at the end of this video and in the description. So, going into Exandria Unlimited Kymal, my expectations were the exact opposite. Low. Very low. I was hoping that Critical Role and Abria would prove me wrong. That's why I watched it. I gave it a chance. With that 8-episode mini-campaign experience behind them, along with all the feedback they probably looked at, Exandria Unlimited Kymal is a short, focused 2-shot. We have a group that has now played together already. Robbie Daymond, obviously no longer a D&D noob as he was part of the beginnings of Campaign 3, and awesome in it. Aimee Carrero, who gained my respect as she started to figure out the whole TTRPG thing as Exandria Unlimited went on. And Abria Iyengar, who seemed to construct a more focused story this time to tell. Add in Matt Mercer, who is there to have as much fun as possible with Dariax, as well as a newcomer Lindbeck, who seems to really grasp D&D and Critical Role concept in general, to the point that I would actually say, as with Robbie Daymond in EXU 1, I would like to see more of her playing. But, unfortunately, and I'm sure you saw this one coming, I did not like Exandria Unlimited Kymal. There was nothing so exceptionally bad or angering, no experiences that I felt during EXU 1 to be honest. No longer were there 50 confusing plot lines, potty humor, or tension between GM and players. Not at all. It was just really boring. No, really, I found nothing about Exandria Unlimited Kymal fun or exciting. I noted the 2 times I actually laughed. Both were obviously from Dariax, these 2 parts in Part 1.
I care a lot about these people. Not you yet. You got time to grow on me. You look like a guy I like, so we'll get there eventually, hopefully. You're on thin ice.
Wait, why?
Because it's funny.
Cyrus just raises his hand.
You don't have to raise your hand.
Okay.
He does have to raise his hand. He's the newcomer. He's the second blue boy. Yes.
Second. I'm older.
Doesn't matter. You're new to us. You're on thin ice, Cyrus.
I don't like that we have a problem.
I like it.
At 2.5 hours into Part 1, I noted still nothing has really happened. And also, boring, a lot of meandering and setup. This reminds me a lot of a TV show that pad out the season so they can hit 10 or 12 episodes when they really only have 6 episodes worth of story. After the first episode, I contemplated even watching episode 2 because I didn't enjoy my time with it. I really wanted to. As I talked about in my announcement video, how much I would love for Kymal to be a good and fun time and hopefully jumpstart my love back for Critical Role, as I found Campaign 3 to have the same exact issues. It's been boring. And I dropped off. Maybe it's how Critical Role has become more corporate and safe, I don't know. I had dropped off at episode 9, taking a break, and since I've only watched half an episode, that's it, I'm in the middle of episode 10, and it's been weeks since I tried to finish it. The Legend of Vox Machina wound up being a mixed bag for me as well. I have reviews on the channel for the episodes as well as the whole season, but that just being okay overall just didn't get me pumped to pick up Campaign 3 again. Kymal is also at a little bit of a weird spot, as you really need to have watched both Exandria Unlimited and be caught up with the majority of Campaign 3 to fully grasp what's up with the Crown Keepers and Dorian and his brother Cyrus. Especially since there were, and I felt a little bit shoehorned in, callbacks to the Nameless Ones and Pascha, for example.
If you've spent any time in Amman, what you have is the sigil of the Nameless Ones.
Part 2 of Exandria Unlimited Kymal, I really struggled to get through, especially since it's long, over 5 hours long. Twice I contemplated dropping it, but I wound up just powering through, and it was more of the same. Uninspired entertainment. Especially with what's supposed to be a big heist, there was just so much time setting up the plot at the initial casino bar and the spa. I guess I'd be looking at it a bit different if it had me cracking up the whole time, but it wasn't. It doesn't help that I still don't particularly like any of these characters, especially Opal. No disrespect to Aimee, I pretty much hated Opal in both. At one point in Kymal, she got caught stealing someone's coat or something. I don't know. She has this vestige of divergence, this crown, and can speak with Loth, but they weren't really used in any interesting ways. Robbie and Dorian sort of took a backseat this time. My guess is to let Aimee, Anjali, Matt, and the newcomer Erica get way more screen time since he was obviously a big part of Campaign 3. There isn't too much more to say here. If you liked Exandria Unlimited Kymal, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I personally think this is another fail on Critical Role's part. Abria didn't win me over, and I gave her a second shot to do so. I'm going to say that I think I'm still in the same boat with Exandria Unlimited. If this comes back for a third round, especially with this cast playing these characters, I'm not checking it out. I don't even know if another DM does it for me either. What a Critical Role low point for me. It's kind of sad. I was really hoping this got me pumped to catch up with Campaign 3 and maybe start back up making videos, but it didn't. Maybe it's just time I go back to Campaign 2 to finally finish that up, even though that I heard that people kind of hate the ending to that as well. But I'm definitely interested to see what you all think of Exandria Unlimited Kymal. Let me know your thoughts on Campaign 3 as well, as I'm nearly 10 episodes behind. Does it get better? Should I power through it and catch up? It's hard for me to cover a show or series that I'm not feeling on this channel. It's not fun to be negative over and over again, so for now this might be my last Critical Role video for quite some time. But thanks for watching, and until next time, see ya.